welcome to the Good Around podcast. I'm your host Giles, and joining me tonight are three wise people. We've got Mark and Woz. You alright, guys?
Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. You alright?
Yeah, not too bad. And we've also got Amanda. How you doing, good girl?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad a result yesterday. I saw, before I got kicked off of Twitter again, I saw that...
I'll back up a second. Have you been kicked off again?
Yeah, I've been kicked off again. Yeah. Serial offender.
Well, you keep doing the same thing.
Yeah.
What does he do?
You know what I do? I retweet other people's clips, yeah?
Don't retweet other people's clips. I don't do that anymore.
I don't get it. Everyone does it. And I get...
You're being watched. You're being Twitter watched, you are.
Well,
someone's grassing you up, mate.
Yeah, well, obviously.
Yeah, Mark.
Was.
Yeah, so, but the last thing I said before I went off was something like, I think I made a reference to Xhaka giving it the old shush to those that are chatting about Wenger not wanting him to stay. But anyway, here we are. So, to keep my happy medium, I've got these three guys on. Got Woz, who was there yesterday. How was it? What was the journey like up there and back and whatnot? You love Hull as much as...
Everyone loves Hull, mate. It's full of a one-of-a-kind breed of people. It's a lovely place, and can't wait to go back.
Really? Hear that, Mark? Can't wait to go back, mate. All right, so let's kick it off. Man, to start with you, give us an overview of yesterday's game. How did you see it?
Well, why can't I go overboard about it?
Go ahead, knock yourself out.
Well, not overboard as that we're going to win the treble or anything, but, that's 3 on a trot, isn't it? Me and stats, I'm not really good on that. You can only play what's put in front of you. I've got some questions about the game.
Yeah.
Shut up, Mark. I'm quite impressed, actually, with our sort of determination. How many penalties are we going to get this season? It's amazing, isn't it? Nearly every game now. I'm a little bit confused. As you know, I wasn't able to watch or listen, so I had to sort of rely on texts and WhatsApps and stuff. I was busy painting. When the penalty was awarded and Dad went, Sanchez is going to take it, I went, no, you've got that wrong. It's Cazorla. And he went, Sanchez is taking the penalty, and he's missed. I didn't know where to go with that. Woz, you were there. Did he just take the ball and that was the end of it, or was there a discussion, or what?
He did. I think he just took the ball and he wanted it, and I don't think Santi put up much of a fight, to be honest with you. And when you look at it back, they highlighted it on Goals on Sunday this morning. Nacho Monreal was actually looking the other way with his head in his hands. So maybe it weren't really. I think Sanchez was fired up, and he's playing centre forward. He wants to prove his point, and he took the ball, put it down, and I'm not sure whether it was an organised thing. I think it was just sort of spur of the moment, and it backfired. But it happens, doesn't it?
Happens all too often.
Maybe Sanchez had been watching the Southampton Europa League game. There was proper handbags between Austin and Tadic there.
Yeah. It's a bit confusing for me, considering Cazorla took the last one. Maybe because he scored 2 down the middle. I don't know, but obviously it was. Look, the highlight for me is watching Xhaka finally get on the pitch and score a wonder goal. I think that we've got a right little gem there. If our esteemed manager will play him, but you can't criticise him. He won 4-1. What can you say? At the beginning, I didn't understand some of his selection, but we won 4-1. And sorry, but you can only play what's in front of you. We will be tested next Saturday. Now, that is the biggest test. Chelsea coming to us Saturday night. That will test us. But we go into it with good form, good energy. They're not so great. I watched them Friday night, and they're there for the taking. If we don't beat them, the question should be asked.
Mark, I'll come over to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, all right. Yeah, we've beaten Hull 4-1. They played the majority of the game with 10 men, so I'm not going to go mad about it. Yeah, it's good to keep winning these games, but we've seen before that we can be flat track bullies, and that's what we've got to avoid. We've got to compete all the way through the season at all levels. The probably the best side we've played so far has beaten us. And as Amanda says, I don't think it's the biggest test. I think City will be the biggest test this season, but Chelsea will be a big test because of the mental aspect of playing Chelsea. You look at a lot of Arsenal fans, and we still struggle mentally with playing Chelsea and playing United. As shit as they may be, people will go, yeah, you watch next week when we go to Chelsea, and they'll turn into this season's Barcelona. So we've really got to try and get over that kind of mental struggle, and I'm hoping that that's where someone like Xhaka will come to the fore, because I think a lot of the other players are just are not at that level. But I'm hoping that maybe he can sort things out a bit. But again, as Amanda said, that's considering if he starts, and yet again, yesterday, should he really have started? I kind of thought he should have. I think a lot of people probably did. I wasn't sure that playing the Santi-Koch partnership again was the best of ideas. And I know lots of people will go, yeah, well, look at the result. Yeah, okay, all right, fair enough. But I still have to wonder why we've got a £35 million player sitting on the bench quite so often.
We'll come to the Chelsea game later on, but as you were there, give us your overview, your summary of yesterday's events.
I definitely enjoyed watching it more on Match of the Day than I did when I was there. It looked a lot nicer and a lot comfortable, and a lot better performance on telly on Match of the Day. Hull were a very poor side, and I do think there was a lot of positives to the game, but there were also a lot of worrying aspects to the game, and a lot of things that probably weren't really picked up on. And I think a better side could have punished us a bit more. There was a bit of issue earlier on in the game with Coquelin Cazorla. Coquelin was pressing high, and a better team might have punished us. They got round the high press quite simply, Hull, quite a few times. El Mohammadi, he was left the full run of the pitch on the right hand side. Poor old Monreal was stitched up again. Really was left exposed, and again a better side would have took advantage of that. Took us a while to get going in the game, created very little, but at the end of the day we won 4-1. And like we said again, the team selection strange. I don't think anyone, we discussed it last week, I don't think anyone would have picked that team again, but I think personally I've had enough Cazorla and enough Koch for a week. And I just 3 times in a week is enough for me, so I'd like to see Xhaka come in and mix it up a bit, if you know what I mean. So at the end of the day, like we've all said, we won 4-1, and at the end of the day winning points is all that matters. But there were worrying signs, and I had a little chat with Clive, and he just sort of said, it's right, you don't want to hit your stride yet. No one wants to see us hit our stride yet, which is correct, but I was just baffled by quite a few things, with Alexis being false 9 again, and I'm sure we'll talk about how that worked and how that developed as the game went on, and the midfield pairing, and there was quite a few issues that I do think we could have been punished with on another day. But at the end of the day, after going to Paris midweek and coming back, 4-1 wins great, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you touched on pairing Koch and Santi. I mean, when they first come into the team 2014-15, at the Man City game, they seem much more of a pair. They seem to complement each other much more. I mean, I remember Koch saying that he's a piano carrier. He does, the 10% that Santi can't do, and vice versa, or something like that. And it seemed to work well with this. But this season, Wenger's chosen, as you said, to get Koch to press higher up the field, and then sort of leave Santi as the man to sort of like protect the fence. And what we're seeing is he gets overrun, he gets isolated, and he can get overrun. I mean, we know this was in Mark. We know he's not got the physicality. He's not as mobile as Xhaka or an El Nene or even Koch in that position to get around the park and sort of nullify counter-attack threat. And I do worry that I was perplexed that after seeing it in Paris, and we got away with it in Paris, he started again on Saturday. I suppose he's probably thinking, aren't half the team that Paris Saint-Germain are. But as you said, they sort of easily calculated ways of getting beyond our high press and sort of like getting at our back line. And again, I said earlier in the game that I was worried that Monreal was again this season being exposed. I wasn't sure if it's because he's not started as he finished last season, or whether it's because he's not getting any protection from the left side. And I think the left side on Saturday was Iwobi, who had an excellent game, but Defensively, I guess he can. There's a lot more improvement and awareness that needs to go into his game. Coming back to you, Mark, do you feel that the Santi Koch, I'm going to say pairing, quote unquote, is one that can sort of get back to its former glories? I mean, if Wenger's going to continue with this, do you think that they can sort of develop that understanding that they had back in 2014-15 and parts of 2015-16?
Well, I'm just concerned about why it seems to have changed. The emphasis between the two of them, I mean, when Coquelin came in and he showed us all what a DM would give to this club, and we haven't really bought a full-on DM to sort of upgrade on Koch. So he's probably still the only defensive midfielder we've got. You've got El Neni's not really, I wouldn't call him a defensive midfielder, and Xhaka's certainly not. He's more of a deep, he's more of a deep line playmaker as far as I'm concerned. So I don't understand why Coquelin isn't just doing that and allowing Santi to be the guy that picks up the ball and starts to pass the ball around and moves forward to make the triangles between the front four, because I don't think that's necessarily Coquelin's game. Now Coquelin had a decent game yesterday, but he's playing against Hull. It's not exactly like that's going to be one of our toughest games of the year. So I just don't understand why they Coquelin seems to be playing in front. And Clive was saying that he believes it's a deliberate ploy and that, and I'm maybe it is, because our players don't generally do what they're not supposed to do, because the manager gets them to toe the line. So I'm not convinced, because I don't think Santi can do the job as well as Koch when he's trying to protect the back four, and I certainly don't think Koch can do the job as well as Santi when he's the one that's supposed to be joining up the play and helping make the triangles and playing sliding runners in. So I'd be a little bit worried about that.
Yeah, Amanda, Monreal. We've people have been saying that he's not had the start to the season that we've all expected him to have. He seems to have been sort of exposed by. On Tuesday it was Aurier, and Saturday it was El Mohammadi, and on the first game of the season it was Mane, and so on and so forth. It seems like the opposition are really sort of pinpointing our left channel as a source of encouragement, that they can profit from. What do you think about his game? Do you think it's a case of he's sort of like dropped a percentage or two, or do you think it's just a case of we need to get him more cover?
Well, yeah, I think I was just about to say that. Who's his cover at the moment? Who's his regular cover?
Well, it was Ox, and he got dropped for.
There's my point.
Ogobi. Yeah,
that's my point. Regular cover. Who's he playing with? Game in, game out. I'm not saying he's not dropped a bit. He might have done. He might not be 100% fit. We don't know. We don't know anything. But he needs that cover. And we're talking about this Coquelin and Cazorla partnership. I don't get it. I really don't. Anyway, we've all said that. So I just feel that maybe Monreal needs a bit of extra cover. He's also playing with Mustafi, which is a new colleague for him. Maybe he feels under pressure helping him. I don't know.
Well, I think Mustafi plays on the right of the two CB, so he will be playing with Koscielny.
Oh, sorry, Koscielny. What was I thinking? He's on the right. Mustafi. Mustafi's on the right. Sorry, Koscielny's on the left with Monreal. So for me, I envisaged that Coquelin would do a sort of Vieira job. It's not really working out like that, is it? No. He's going so far forward. I like Coquelin, and I think he had a really good game yesterday. But no disrespect, we were playing Hull. The test is coming. Definitely Chelsea. Then obviously we've got United in November and City in December, and Tottenham probably in between all that. I think he needs cover, definitely. What else can I say? He's either dropped and he's not what he was. He was very consistent last year, wasn't he?
Extremely for the last 2 years.
When he first started out with us and he put him in centre half, he was terrible. I hated him in that position. But I wouldn't drop him for anyone. So they need to look at that. They need to look at the cover in front of him.
Indeed. Talking about Iwobi, I think he's really sort of. Well, yesterday at least, anyway, he's really sort of like come into his own, didn't he? He was running the game in terms of forward play. You saw he had an assist for the first goal, a brilliant assist for Walcott's goal, and was generally really making things happen. And he was quite good in the second half against Paris as well when they shifted him over to the right. Do you think this is his season to sort of like move on a level now? Would you still like to see him sort of like protected and sort of managed into the team?
100%. I think he's still very, very early in this lad's career, and it's easy to rave about him. And we talk about Coquelin and other players and say it's only Hull. Well, it's the same scenario. And at being at the game, people got the perception that I don't like Alex Iwobi. I like Alex Iwobi a lot. But I can see that he's still very, very raw. He's very young. He's still finding his way in first team football. To expect him to go out and play 40 games a season on that left wing, and it's not going to happen. And he's got a lot to learn. And the first 45, and the majority of the people I spoke to who were at the game all know it's the same thing. Like we're talking about with Nacho Monreal, the lack of protection. Monreal himself, there was actually a point in the game that wouldn't have been picked up on camera. And it was in the first half right in front of us, and El Mohammadi was advancing down the right, and Alex Iwobi was actually almost side by side with Cazorla in the middle of the park deep, and you could see Monreal, he was gesticulating, like throwing his arms in the air towards Iwobi to sort of say, look, help me, like, but he obviously was in the middle of doing his job, so he weren't sort of shouting him. You could see him signalling, and it's just them things that Iwobi's got to learn to be considered to play week in, week out, and we've seen Ox struggle with it, and I don't think Ox is ready. And I really like Alex Iwobi, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he's going to develop. But for me, I wouldn't say he's there yet. And the key positions, we saw it in Paris twice. When you get in that area, you've got to deliver. And the back heel was brilliant. I weren't convinced by the assist, should I say? He kicked it. It was a pretty poor finish, and I'm not sure if it flicked up off of Sanchez, it would have gone in, to be honest with you. And he done brilliant to be in that area. But I also think about Alex Iwobi is. We were just discussing about with Monreal being exposed. I think the emphasis has switched from last season, because we saw Bellerin got isolated a lot, right? And that, in my opinion, with the Coquelin-Cazorla pairing, we were playing sort of an Aaron Ramsey on the right wing, or we were playing an inverted winger on the right-hand side who was given the freedom of the park to come in. So then what was happening was Bellerin was the one who was getting exposed. Now this season, we're seeing Walcott on the right provide the width, and the fullbacks aren't getting down that side. And Bellerin, all of a sudden, is more protected. Now we've got Alex Iwobi or Oxlade-Chamberlain on the left, who all they want to do is come inside and get the ball to feet. And it's almost like we've just switched the emphasis from side to side. And now Bellerin, who was suddenly exposed, all of a sudden isn't. And Mustafi's over there on the right. And then we're now seeing Monreal find himself in a 2-on-1 situation, because the exact same thing is happening. And with the midfield pairing, like we're discussing, Cazorla being the one chose to sit deep and Coquelin pressing high, we're having the same scenario where there's no defensive midfielder as such coming across to protect the area that Iwobi or Ox has been leaving, if you understand where I'm coming from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously the season before we didn't have that defensive midfielder coming across. It was Flamini, and no one was coming across, and we had an inverted right winger, and whether it had been Joel Campbell on the right coming inside wanting to get possession, or Ramsey previously the year before that, and it was Bellerin who was always exposed. And now we're seeing the same thing with Monreal, and I think Wenger's got to tweak it a bit to get the balance, because the way I look at it, if he wants to play a winger like Iwobi, and I put a winger in inverted commas because he really, really loves being on the ball, and he loves coming inside and trying to make things happen, then he needs to have someone who is going to sit deep and patrol, not someone who's going to sit deep and pass the ball. He needs an intelligent defender, and I do think Coquelin can do that job, but for my money, Xhaka should be in there. But if he wants to give Iwobi that freedom, he needs to make sure that we have the balance right, because as soon as a team wins the ball, they will spring past the midfield two at the moment. Iwobi's gone, and Monreal all of a sudden is at times 2-on-1, 3-on-1, it's pulling centre-backs across, people are out of position, and it's a bit chaotic. And that's why I was a bit alarmed with the performance, and that's why not having a go at Iwobi, just sort of he needs to take more care there, or Wenger needs to take more care there and allow Iwobi that freedom. But with regards to his individual performance, he did play well. I wouldn't have said he was astonishing like the majority of the people seem to believe. I thought he had a very solid game. I actually thought Coquelin was fantastic, albeit he completed 98 passes, the same amount as Cazorla, Coquelin. And the only difference is when he does win the ball high, it's not his job. He's not clever enough. He's not, do you know what I mean? He's not cute enough to play that final ball. I thought Coquelin was very good, and I thought Iwobi did play well, but I've got my regards with him, and I'd like to see him eased in and not make him be one of these players that's got to do it now, if you know what I mean. We've got players to play wide. We've got 2 centre forwards. Maybe take a bit of pressure off him.
Yeah, I kind of agree with a lot of what Woz is saying there. I mean, with Iwobi, we've got to remember that the boys, you know, he's only just 20, and his game is going forward. It's not really about the defending side of it. You know, he's come straight into the team. He's not been on loan or anything to try and be, you know, schooled in that part of his game. So, and we know that defending's not one of our your greatest talents. But I think he gives you a lot going forward. But yeah, going back, he's not going to be on the same wavelength as the rest of them. So I think we do need that protection. And I think Woz is right that once you've now got, we seem to have swapped over Coquelin and Santi and what they're doing. I think it is giving us a problem, because if we lose the ball and they break, you know, Santi's not going to do the job that Coquelin can do, so that is a big concern for me. And as he says, we've kind of moved that problem just from one side to the other. You know, what we really need is, you know, I hate to say it, but we kind of really need Welbeck. But you know, again, we're kind of waiting for Welbeck to come back and maybe take over that left-hand slot, or we need to get, you know, Alexis back there and stick with Giroud or Perez up top. I mean, you know, Tuesday night is going to be interesting to see what team he puts out and who's playing where, because surely he's got to now look at giving some of these guys a rest who've played a lot of football recently. I know it's only the start of the season, but you know, it's still been quite a few games and internationals as well, so some of them need a rest, because it's a big game against Chelsea on Saturday, and we really have to show that this team is capable of putting in a result on the pitch, physically as well as mentally, because we have to get over this kind of block that we have with them and sort them out, and there's no reason why we can't. You know, they've had some bad results already, so we have to get at this Chelsea team and get a win. So be interesting to see. But yeah, I agree with a lot of what was said about Iwobi. Good guy going forward, and I think, you know, maybe those wide positions are not really where he'll end up. I think he may end up more in the middle.
So, you know, Alexis scored 17 minutes, and then it took us quite a while to get our second goal. It was Phwoar Walcott's goal as a result of the little 1-2 he did with Iwobi. The second half seemed to be a lot more easier once the guy got sent off. What's his name?
Livermore. Definitely not a sending off. Jake Livermore.
Yeah. Going on. Let's touch on that. I mean, double jeopardy. They said that they'll be looking at, or they'll review it, or there'll be adjustments to it this season. And the question is, was it a definite goal scoring opportunity he was blocking? And obviously the goalkeeper was there behind him. So the question is, would the goalkeeper have got to it? I mean, do you think that it was a bit harsh on Hull's part?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd be going nuts if this was us.
How is it harsh?
His goalkeeper was right behind him. He didn't stop it on the line.
Oh, all right.
My dad texted me and said it's off the line. I thought, we've got to go then. When I watched it last night, hit his elbow and sprung off.
Didn't hit his elbow, hit his hand. Sam ball in the box. What did we moan about fucking Gibbs getting sent off when Ox did it the other year against Chelsea? You can't handball in the box. Is a penalty, and if it's stopping the ball heading towards a goal, it's a goal scoring opportunity.
Hold on, Mark. No, he didn't get sent off for that. He got sent off for
denying a goal scoring opportunity. It's a penalty.
He wasn't.
It's
the goalkeeper was behind him.
No,
so it wasn't. It's not been sent off for the right reasons, and intentional handball.
It was intentional, mate. It's intentional handball. What's his hand doing up there?
Right, it wasn't up. It was to the side.
No,
right, second of all,
penalty.
I think it was harsh that he got sent off. I do think it's a penalty. But I think it's
denying
harsh.
a goal scoring opportunity. It's no different.
But he didn't. The goalkeeper was behind him.
So you don't think that would have gone in?
No.
Well, that's the question. That's the grey area. That's
How can you say yes or no?
All right, so what happens then if a geezer's running through and he gets into the box and Gabriel slides him, takes him out? The centre forward has still got to put the ball past the goalkeeper, but Gabriel's still going to get sent off. So why is it different?
But if he's still got to beat the goalkeeper, he's not the last man. Is that right?
No, of course he's the last man. He's the last defender. If he's the last defender and he cleans him out, it's a penalty and a red card. So how is that any different if, he's still got to beat the goalkeeper if he gets through to the shot beating the goalkeeper?
It's harsh, Mark, because you could say, right, first of all, if he slides in and takes him out, that's a bit different to a non or intentional handball. So I don't feel he should have been sent off at all. Not at all. I think the penalty was enough. What did he have to do? Look, if he was on the line and it was going in, off straight away. Got no issue with it. But you can actually see the goalkeeper behind him. He's not been sent off for that reason. He's been sent off for denying a goal-scoring opportunity.
Which
he's not been sent off a handball.
Which he did. The shot's on target. It's heading towards the goal. We don't know whether the goalkeeper's going to save it or not.
Towards the goalkeeper.
It will be an interesting.
Why are they reviewing it then, Mark? Why are they reviewing it?
No idea. Just to try and get him off it.
No, they're reviewing it.
It will be an interesting precedent as the season goes on. If these incidents do happen throughout the season, it will be an interesting precedent to see how the referee reacts.
I'll tell you what. Cutting this opposite, Cazorla should have gone. How many chances was he given?
Yeah.
When you watched Match of the Day last night, 3 chances. I had so many people text me today and go, Cazorla was lucky.
Yeah, he was. So, I remember when he got the caution after the second yellow card. I think the referee had a word with him. I was like, get him off. We've got 3 goals now, or whatever it was. And I was like, I'll get him off now. Let's just,
Someone put in our group, didn't they? In the WhatsApp group, I think it was Steve said, get him off because he's going to go. I thought he'd gone.
Yeah.
And I said, well, you know what Wenger's like. In the end, he did take him off, and it was the right decision. I mean, not often do you sit there and go, Cazorla could get sent off. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, if it was the other week, it was Coquelin that was walking a tightrope, wasn't it?
Well, Coquelin is often like that, but not Cazorla. But no, I don't think he should have been sent off, but that's just my opinion.
Okay, all right. So we come back in the second half. We come back in the second half. We look a better outfit. We make it 3-1 with Sanchez's second goal, which was well taken effort after Iwobi's shot was blocked, and then Xhaka comes up with that wonder goal. Was it as easy as it looked at the end?
No. It was poor.
Even in the second half.
I'll tell you something now, Giles. I'll tell you something now, mate. From the minute the second half kicked off to the minute they got their penalty, it was probably the most tedious, boring, mind-numbing 20-odd minutes of football I've seen in my life, mate. It was horrific. We had no centre forward. Literally, we were playing with no centre forward. What we were doing, I could tell you the pattern of play now. I can remember it now. We'd get the ball, it'd go across Cazorla, it'd go out to Bellerin, Walcott would overlap, go to Walcott, he'd play it back to Bellerin, back inside, across to the left, Monreal, back in. Literally, we were doing, it was just embarrassing. It was sideways, we was going no penetration, and we was passing. We had about 7 players lined up around the edge of the box, and not one player making a run into the box, bursting in. We would manufacture a yard of space for Walcott on the wing or someone on the wing, and you can't cross it. There's no point in crossing it. There was no one anywhere, and the game was just it was really painful. And the first half as well, I'm going to go back into it, we touched on it, but with Alexis up front, we kept seeing a continual pattern where Alexis is hungry for the ball, so he's coming deep. He's coming near the halfway line. So then we're seeing Walcott having to come inside to provide us a centre forward. Now Bellerin is then bursting forward, and you see in the game develop, and you're thinking, if they nick it here, we're in trouble, because Sanchez is coming deep. If he loses it, Bellerin's gone, Walcott's gone in behind, we're completely out of shape, Cazorla ain't going to catch no one, and they're gone, and we could have been punished. And if it followed a similar pattern, but even worse in the second half, because we weren't creating, we weren't really doing anything, and the only time we did do anything was when Phwo, I mean, for all his downsides, he's the only geezer who's been aggressive enough to try and create things and make things happen. Wow. And in the first half, the build up to the penalty, he's the one incisive delivery, cut it back to Coquelin. We had the cross before the Iwobi assist, and Alexis nick, he crossed it in, the keeper palmed it away. And in the second half, the goal he took on, comes this time, we used to Walcott sticking wide and making runs in behind. This time, comes to feet, turns, drives, lovely 1-2 with Iwobi. He's in, goal, great finish. And that bit of penetration, it was almost like we was waiting for them to get back in the game. We was literally waiting for them to get back in the game, and that's why that's what I was saying to you. When I watched your match today, I absolutely loved it. And when I was there, my God, it was so bad. That 20 minutes, mate, I've not seen Arsenal be so disinterested in killing a game in my life, because they were there for the taking, and we all know they were. No centre forward on the pitch, no changes. Santi was on a booking, kept on for ages, could have put us in trouble. And you just knew they would get a break, and they did, and they got a penalty. And that sort of woke us up.
We obviously, it sounds like we suffered without the presence of Giroud there,
Massively.
Point, for all the rough end of the stick that he gets. I mean, it just shows how critical and crucial he would be to this team right now. Just touching on a couple of stats, which you probably like. Walcott apparently, despite having his troubles, with his end product or his passing and whatnot, and so on and so forth, he did create quite a few. I mean, he created 2 chances as well as his goal. So and I think he had quite a decent game going forward. Obviously, going back as well is helping protect Bellerin. So he's obviously worked his way in there. And I think, would you say he's a starter at right wing now? Do you think? Obviously, I know you do think he's a starter at right wing, but I think there's not really much argument for anybody else really to start on right wing. I know there's this rumor, there's this theory that Ramsey should go back out on the right wing, but I think definitely we should be persisting with Walker out there.
Thing is, Giles, a lot of people won't say that, and he's not really an Arsenal type player. But what he is a player that gives Arsenal something that no other Arsenal player can give them, and that is important. And the evidence is there for all to see. He's producing. He is producing, whether people like it or not. And what I would say has improved on massively is when he does get the ball now, things he's doing first time, they're incisive, they're sharp. Like, for instance, the cutback for the penalty in the first half, that was a brilliant cutback. He had one earlier in the game as well to Sanchez, and Sanchez blazed over quite early in the game. Yeah. But things are happening instinctively again. They're happening quick, and he's a danger. And he's confident again. And that give and go with Iwobi, the little dink, I mean, what a finish. Let's be honest, what a finish. Yeah. And that's the kind of Phwo you want to see. And at the end of the day, he's not going to be getting involved in the game 100% of the time. That's not his game. His game is to make things happen at important moments of the game and be the option, produce the width, because if Walcott ain't wide there and Iwobi's doing what he's doing, we're in trouble against Hull, big time, because he's so easy to defend against. And obviously Ox doesn't do it enough, and he doesn't provide the width, and he's not incisive enough, and he's not got the numbers, and Phwo gives us them numbers. And I would personally like to see Alexis back out left and Phwo on the right for a bit and ease Iwobi in. And because I love Iwobi, and there's games where Iwobi can start on the left and Alexis on the right, and we can rotate because we've got them options. But I do think Phwo is a lot better than we think he is.
What do you think it is? I mean, last season he had Campbell to contend with. He was playing on the left and so on and so forth. I think he was saying he's a striker. And then this summer he said, I'm actually a right winger. When he found out, obviously he got word that a striker was coming in. Campbell's gone on loan. Obviously Gnabry's been sold. There doesn't seem to be really much competition, and he seems to be a bit more involved this season. What do you think that's down to?
I think the ironic thing is that we talk about his position and everything. We've discussed Ox as well, playing on the left. That's not him, and he was on the left a lot last season. But that's no excuse for his performances. He weren't great at all, and everyone admit that. And I think he's got to a stage in his career where he's looked down. And by the way, his next appearance for Arsenal is his 350th for the club, which is incredible. And he's hungry. And the thing is with Phwo is he's got something, like I was saying, that no one else can offer, and he looks like he wants it. He came into training early this summer, and as long as he continues to give the numbers, people can't get on his back. And I do think that, like I was saying, the ironic thing is he probably spent about 40% of that game at the weekend centre forward, because Alexis vacating that space coming deep meant that Phwo was going in and Cazorla was going centre forward. Well, I saw Cazorla at centre forward. Hector Bellerin was at centre forward at one point. I'm not even joking. It was so random. So random, but
everyone's having a go.
Mate,
total football, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Clive will be happy.
And another thing I would say that's helped Theo a lot more this season is he's got a growing partnership with Hector Bellerin, and they know. You can notice it straight away. You can notice it because now it's not two individual players doing something on the same side. They're a team. They're a partnership. And if Hector goes, then if Theo goes wide, Hector runs inside with the ball. If Theo comes inside, Hector goes wide. They're a partnership. They're doing things together at both ends of the pitch.
Obviously, with Mustafi there being quite a mobile right-sided centre-back rather than someone like Mertesacker, it does help, doesn't it? Yeah.
But I just think with Theo, we want to see him. We missed him at PSG, and I think he could have done damage at PSG, much like Lucas Moura. He's quite a simple footballer, but he's searing pace, and his ability to get in areas means he's good. And I just hope Theo don't get injured and he stays fit all season, because he can contribute 15 goals to this team, no doubt about it, and we need that. We do need that.
Okay, Mark, got another stat for you. Theo's 10 years, 100th goal in his Arsenal career. I suppose I wasn't going to give that to Woz because there's no point giving it to us. So I thought I'd throw that one to you. Do you think that we should have been expecting more from him by now? He's 27. I always say he's our longest serving player. He should be one of the senior guys. Do you see some sort of green shoots from him this season, or are you still kind of like not really sure about Theo?
Theo's Theo, isn't it, mate? We've seen it all before. He misses easy chances, and people will be digging him out, and then he'll do something good, and people will be praising him. He's kind of a microcosm of the whole Arsenal fan base, to be honest. Some people like him, some people can't stand him. I think obviously the lad should have done more. He's 27 now. He's been at the club 10 years. I don't think his numbers are that great for what he could have become. People will compare Sterling to him, and we'll have to see what happens with Sterling. Sterling could go the same way, or he could be the player that Theo never was. We don't know. I just think he should have done more. I mean, he's had bad luck with injuries. I think he has suffered with the whole "am I a right winger, am I a centre forward" thing, and I feel for the guy. He's obviously a nice lad, and I hope he proves a lot of the people like me who are not convinced that he can ever really be what he should have been wrong, and that he'll have a blinding season. But for me, he's still got to win me over, whereas with people like Woz are very much on his side, and that's absolutely fine. I can understand that.
Amanda, I'm coming to you now, and we're going to talk about Ozil. All right. Mm-hmm. So this season, the stats say he's not created a lot more. He's not created nearly half as many chances already this season. At this stage last season. I mean, he scored. He's people are saying like, his start to the season is a bit. What do you say to that? I mean, do you think there's something in the? Is it because of the general sort of way the team's playing? We've not really hit form. I think the only time we've really seen a great half is probably the first half against Watford, but we haven't really clicked into gear. Do you think that's down to, in part, Ozil being a bit undercooked, or not as effective as he has been in the past?
I'm wondering if it's because of Coquelin and Cazorla and their partnership and where they're playing. He hasn't been great, and I love him to pieces, but I'll always give constructive criticism. He's not been terrible. He has been involved, but he's obviously not been how we would expect him to be. That's another thing, isn't it? We do have high expectations about Ozil because of how he played last season. Will he come good? Probably. I wouldn't say, we're all looking at him going, geez, what's going on? I just think it's taking time. I know it's a cliche, but I honestly believe this. I don't think Wenger knows his best 11 yet. Yeah. At PSG, as much as I cannot stand Giroud, we were desperate for him. And when he came on, for me, it changed, the game a little bit. So with Ozil, I'm wondering if he's just getting used to the partnership behind him. He's also got Sanchez up front,
yeah,
which
I was going to say,
it's a massive change. I love Sanchez to pieces. In my eyes, even when he has a crap game, he gives his all. But him up front doesn't do it for me, I'm afraid. I'm wondering where Lucas is going to come in and play. I'm wondering when. We're all wondering when Xhaka might suit Ozil a little bit more. We don't know. So, yeah, he hasn't hit form yet, of course. There may be reasons, but it may be just that he's just not hit form yet.
Do you think it's those two stems, like the central midfield partnership behind him, and obviously the problems we're having up front are affecting his general game, his general output?
Well, I don't want to make excuses for him because people know up and down the land that I absolutely worship the ground he walks on. But I will also say when he doesn't play great, and he hasn't been the standout player for me. For me, Iwobi's given it all. You know, I thought he was great yesterday. I don't know. We're going to see. Listen, we got a big game Saturday night. This is it. This is a big game. As Mark said, we seem to have this. Although they're our bogey side when Mourinho was in charge of them, I still think they are. You know, let's see what he does Saturday night. It depends who he chooses as well, who he plays. I can't ever call it anymore. You know, we used to be able to roughly say each game what was going to happen, but he must know something about Xhaka that we don't. That's all I can say. There may be, maybe he's not 100% fit yet. I don't know, because I'm still as astounded as everybody else.
Let's come back. Let's come back to Xhaka. Was you wanted to jump in with a theory?
Just quickly on Meza. He's still. The thing is, he's being asked to do very different things, and we saw him struggle the second half of last season. And what I was discussing earlier, we've switched the emphasis with wings, with the inverted players. But this season, we're doing it without a centre forward. And the space that Mesut Ozil's game is about picking up spaces that don't exist. But he can only do that if, when I say they don't exist, they're spaces that normal players wouldn't find. They're gaps, they're holes. But these holes are nowhere to be seen. You've got Iwobi coming in from the left. Alexis, I mean, we're saying Alexis is centre forward, really. Yeah, we're playing no centre forward. That literally is the formation. We're playing, it's almost as if we're playing with three men behind no one, because that's the scenario we're finding ourselves in. And Mesut at the weekend, he still he completed 100, and it was ridiculous, something silly, like 105 out of 110 passes in the game. He was the highest passer on the pitch, but it didn't look like he'd done anything, which is mental. And the areas that he normally picks up, and he gets the ball, turns and plays the ball, and it's devastating. But there's no one to turn and play it to. There's no areas to get into at the moment. It's all a bit tippy-tappy. We're shrouded. Teams are lying deep against us, and I think we're stifling Mesut at the moment. And don't get me wrong, he has been off the boil with regards to his touch, his speed of play. It ain't at the levels it was at the first half of last season as such, but also I think he's suffering, and I think we'll see a very different Mesut Ozil when Olivier Giroud's back in the team, or Lucas Perez starts centre forward, and we have a focal point and someone who can actually drag players out of the way and not try and get involved in play too much, to let Mesut be the controller there. Because Amanda makes some good points about Cazorla and Coquelin, and with Coquelin pressing high as well, he's eating space as well, and it's almost as if everyone's on each other's toes, and Mesut has got a sort of magic something out of nowhere, which he is capable of, but it's very difficult without a centre forward. I think he will get better, and I don't think he's been terrible, but he ain't been at his levels. I don't think because of his ability. I think because of
the form, isn't it? Right,
the function, and exactly the way the team's function at the moment. It doesn't suit Mesut. It never will. And I actually think when a team, if we're going to play this way, I think if we're going to play with someone like that, I think he should be on the left instead of Iwobi if we're going to play this way. But I'd never play that way.
Yeah.
But I just think it'd be easier for him to get space. But that's all I thought about Mesut. I think he'll get better, mate. Definitely.
Okay, all three of you've touched on Xhaka at one point or the other. In Friday's pre-game presser, Wenger said that he sees El Neni and Xhaka as the pair. That's what I thought he implicated anyway. He said that Xhaka is the box to box. He's got all the tools in his armory to play box to box, and he thinks that El Neni is that top quality to play, I suppose, as a deeper lying midfielder. He was mentioning, he was basically talking about pairings, and we've talked about pairings today. The pairing, quote unquote, of El Neni, of Cazorla and Coquelin, or the lack of it. We've talked about Bellerin and Phwoar, the developing pairing there. We've talked about the lack of pairing ahead of what's his bloody name on the left, Monreal, and here we are in the centre of midfield, which is a key part of the function of the whole system. We're blessed with so many great central midfield or potentially great central midfielders, but it's definitely the key is getting the right pair together. Do you see Xhaka and El Neni as the pair, the go-to pair, going on what Arsene Wenger said, Amanda?
Well, if he's going to do that pairing, where's Cazorla? Where's Ram? We forgot about Ramsey coming back.
Yeah,
you got Sanchez, who surely would drop back. You got. I like El Neni, but I've liked him since day one. Right, I like him. There's something about him I really like. I want Cazorla in the midfield because I think he's our little maestro, or whatever we call him. Honestly, I've never been so confused with the team as I have this season. I wonder if he's just bought Xhaka because I don't know. Because to me, surely he should be. Would Xhaka and Cazorla work?
It seemed to have worked, didn't it? It seemed to have worked.
Ramsey, I mean, he loves Ramsey, doesn't he? And I love Ramsey when he's in the right position. Is the Ox going to get a go? I mean, you're looking at... I don't think he knows. I actually think he's a bit... I can't say the word what I actually want to say, but I think he's a little bit deluded with things. He seems to me to be a very stubborn man. Okay, and I don't think anyone can tell him anything. He's obviously got a vision of what he wants. Look, at the moment, we've lost one, drawn one, and won 3. Without PSG, but you can't knock that at the moment. What, we third now because Tottenham won today? We have to play game by game. Look, I don't know. I know Mark's thoughts on this, but I don't know if Warren is sort of Wenger in or Wenger out. I don't know. But for me, even if he wins the league this year, I'd still want him to go. I've said this from day one of when I changed my mind.
So you want Xhaka in the team, but do you see him as a DM, sort of like at the base controlling, or do you actually see Wenger's vision of having him as the box to box?
No, not box to box. No way on earth. But then I'm not a football manager, so maybe I'm just a fan that's reading it wrong. He's not box to box. He's our DM, surely. Or have I got that wrong?
Mark, let me bring it over to you. Do you see any sort of worth in what Wenger's saying? Do you see where he's trying to go with that? Or
I'd like, if it was down to me and everyone was fit, my first choice central midfield pairing would be Xhaka and Santi. That's because I think Xhaka can sit and can play longer balls as a way like Alonso would, and I think Santi's better just in front of him, just working with the front four, spreading the ball around, and as I said earlier, playing the triangles, sliding runners in. I just think Santi's better at that. I just said the other players we've got maybe don't fit. I mean, El Neni's a very sort of solid player. He reminds me a little bit like Edu. He's very solid. He's not a spectacular player, but he's very reliable. So I'd say he's someone good to come into the team. When we need some rotation or for injury cover. Ramsey, I still think Ramsey is a complete enigma, and I know that Woz wants Ramsey and Xhaka in the middle, but Ramsey in the middle maybe as an alternative to Santi, playing a bit more of a box to box. Maybe that would be a good thing as well. So I would like to see that at some point, given a go. If Ramsey can stay fit. Everyone else, I think they're more or less they're going to be subs. I think that on the wide right, I think we've got to stick with Walcott at the moment. He probably deserves the chance to hold his place out there. I would still go with Alexis on the left and Giroud as the focal point, with Ozil playing the 10. So that would be where I'd see Xhaka. The issue is that he hasn't been playing. Is it fitness? Is it recovery? I don't know what it is, but we need to start seeing the guy in that team. But
what do you think is? I mean, Mark, people were saying there's a lot of conspiracy theories about this Spencer Morgan saying that Wenger didn't want him, and I can't believe that. I can't believe it for us. I know people have said they've heard from different people within the club that could have been the case. But I can't believe it for a second that Wenger didn't want Xhaka. I mean, we've been trailing him for like 10 years or whatever. You know, he's had words with him, you know, months before he even made the signature, made the sign. He's spoken to his dad and whatnot and so on and so forth. I can't believe for a second that he didn't want Xhaka. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think anyone knows. We've all seen the tweets from Spencer Morgan. He's probably as full of shit as his old man. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's like people say, we can't say Wenger rules the club completely from top to bottom with an iron fist and then say, someone's forced Wenger into to having a player that he didn't actually want. Maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle, that Wenger did want him, but maybe he didn't think he was worth the money that we were going to have to pay to get him, and possibly someone's helped push that over the line a bit. Yeah. So, you know, it's difficult to see, but you know, Wenger doesn't help himself by spending 35 million quid on a player and then not really playing him. And you know, he's our third record signing if he wasn't as more than Alexis. So, you know, you can't buy your third most expensive signing in history and not be playing him. You know, the guy's good enough. We've all seen that. I think most people want to see him on the team sheet every week, so get him in, you know. But there are things that happen at the training ground that we're not privy to, so people talk a lot of talk that's probably bullshit, and maybe that's just complete bullshit.
What do you reckon? I mean, you think Wenger said that he's basically easing him into the team. He's not probably at the optimum level fitness-wise, but he's very close to it. What's your thoughts? What do you reckon?
For me,
everybody wants to see it.
I personally say he's the first name on the team sheet. But with regards to the centre midfielders as well, we're talking about all the options we've got. I don't think we should get hung up on it being one man, or it's a long season. But everyone's got their preferences. I've got my first choice preference and the way I'd like to play. What I'm more worried about is the way Wenger sees the two playing. He's adopted a flat two all season. Between recently, we've seen Cazorla and Coquelin as a flat two. One goes, one stays, double pivot. If one goes, the other stays. I don't think that's good. And I've noticed PSG done it, Hull done it. Teams are adopting a flat three to combat that flat two. And they're finding.
I actually think it's a staggered free. Well, half spaces, like it depends. Like Clive goes on, talks a lot about distances and half, and I've seen half. If you look at the half spaces, I think it's a staggered free. So you might have someone slightly at the base, and then you've got someone to the right, slightly higher up, and then someone on the left a bit higher up, and you've got the natural triangles there.
See, that's the way I would like to play. That is what I would like to do. At the moment, I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing Cazorla. Coquelin's pressing high when we're not in possession, and when we are in possession, Coquelin's sort of taking a back seat and Cazorla's trying to get forward, and they're sort of, it's more like a pendulum, and Ozil isn't really connected to the two at the moment. Now, what I want to see is a two of one sit. Your job is to shield. If Iwobi's coming in on the left, your job's to push out to the left if they counter attack. Just sit there, patrol, play the ball, do your job. And I think Xhaka is that man, and if Xhaka's not that man, then Coquelin plays. I don't want to see Coquelin running around like a nut job. I want to see a bit of structure. Then you're looking at the next man, like we're saying, the next stagger. Ramsey's got the legs to go box to box. Cazorla can link. There's options there. El Nene can link. There's good options, but more than being worried about the personnel, I'd rather worry about the structure of the midfield, because I think they're too easy to bypass at the moment, and I think that's what Wenger needs to get right. Not so much who plays with who, more how they play with each other, because Ozil's disconnected from the midfield at the moment, and we're struggling for it. And Granit Xhaka, what a beast! I mean, look at him. What a man he is. He's just a man's man. You look at him and you think, yeah, I want to be Granit Xhaka. He's a big fella. He's strong. He's good on the ball. He's good-looking fella. Do you know what I mean? He's got everything. And as if I couldn't love him anymore, he turns around, 35 yards out, takes one touch, wallop. I stood there thinking, Cough, you can't do that, fella. You play for Arsenal. You're not allowed to do that. Like, it was just like the whole away end was just sort of stood there going, what has just happened? Like, when was the last time anything like that ever happened? So exactly. It's lovely to see that. And his attitude, his celebration, the old shush and the talking, too much talking above his head. I just like that. He's got an attitude about him, and he's a leader. You just want to see him every week. We all do. But at the end of the day, we've got to let Wenger do what he wants to do, whether we agree with it or not, and whether he knows what he's... I still try and convince myself he half knows what he's doing, and 9 times out of 10, I think he ain't got a clue what he's doing, and he seems to get out away with it. But maybe, you never know, maybe as the season develops we will see Xhaka every week, and if we don't win anything, then even more reason for him to be gone, because Xhaka's good enough to play on any team in the Premier League, and I'd say probably any team in Europe, the way he's developing and the way I've seen him previously.
Amanda, Warren waxed lyrical about Xhaka. In Nigeria we call it swag, and the guy's got it. The guy's got it in by the bucket loads. I mean, as Warren said, I mean, the goal, I think the goalkeeper was as surprised as all us Arsenal fans that he actually had the audacity to do it. Why would you drop him? Why would you not start him?
Why are you asking me? I've got no clue, Giles. I said to you, this is one season where I've done podcasts. I've done them for about 4 years now, I think, where I'm sort of flabbergasted. I can't understand what he's playing at. But then, as I did say, and I'll say it again, he has won the last 3 games, in the league. So who are we to say anything? We get the team sheet an hour before. We all look at it and go, what's he done that for? But until he continuously loses, what can we actually say?
Do you think it's a case of just sort of like easing him? Wenger just wants to like ease him into the Premier League. I mean, I don't understand it.
He didn't do it to Sanchez, and he didn't do it to Ozil. No. So unless, as Mark said, there is that big thing, we are not privy to what goes on in training, his attitude, his fitness, slight knocks. We ain't got a clue, have we? Really? We just go, oh my God, what's he doing on the bench? Maybe he is easing him in. That's what we have to think he's doing. That's it. I don't know. I'm curious to think about who he's going to play on Tuesday night.
Yeah, indeed. Mark, the celebration, what do you think that was about? Do you think we'll ever know what that's about?
I don't know. He's just obviously telling people stop chatting shit. So, but who that's aimed at? I don't know. Is it aimed at the people suggesting he wasn't a Wenger purchase or what? No idea. Who knows?
I'll tell you what.
Knows.
Sorry,
he's a footballer though, isn't he?
Interrupt. I think it was something to do with Switzerland. I read somewhere that has he changed who he's playing for or something, or he's been criticised for who he's played for.
He was allowed to. He's Kosovan, and he was given the option to revert and play for Kosovo, I think, and he chose to stay playing for Switzerland. I think he's been getting a bit of stick.
He has. The Kosovans have been giving him stick, and that's why he did the mouth with the hands. Right. It's not to do with Arsenal, certainly not, because we all want him to play. And it's not the media. No one's come down on him at all. And I read it was about the national side. So
right.
Maybe you can keep that for when he plays for Switzerland then.
Yeah, exactly.
Bit lost in the Premier League, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on. We got Nottingham Forest on Tuesday. We got the return of Lord Bentner and Henry Lansbury. We're going to play a scratch side for that, do you reckon, guys? Just quickly, Amanda, do you think you're scratch side? Those that haven't got a game yet, people like the Jeff, people like, I don't know,
Spina,
and so on. Or do you see a mix? Who would you like to see there? Who would you like to see? Would you like to see some youngsters come in?
Yeah, I would, with a bit of a mix. I mean, if he wants to play Xhaka, if he's trying to get him fit or whatever, then play him. But we have got Saturday to consider,
Perez, you would like to see Perez?
Yeah, definitely like to see Perez start. I would like to see that. I would like to see Sanchez benched for a start. And Jeff would be good. I think he'll play. I think he'll do maybe the Ox. There's as we're going along.
Gibbo's not had a game. Gibbo's not had a lot of game time, has he? So. Holding could come back, you reckon?
Definitely, I forgot about Holding actually. Yeah. I mean, that's going to be roughly El Nene, I suppose. So you'll have that Perez up front, perhaps. I'm assuming Giroud's still injured. He's got a toe injury, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't he have a toe injury a couple of years ago against Everton? He got a toe injury, didn't he? It knocked him out for a couple of months.
Broke his leg. He broke his leg.
Oh, was it broke his leg? Did he?
Yeah. when he blocked that clearance, it broke his leg. Yeah.
I thought it was just a toe injury.
No, he broke his toenail. He broke his toenail.
Toenail.
His hair got messed up. I think that it'll be a mixture, but mainly more the reserves.
Okay, Mark. Saturday.
Yes, mate.
Saturday. Saturday evening. You're all going down. I'm not going to be with you on Saturday, so have a good game.
You're not
But I
going,
mean,
Chelsea?
no, I'm not going, man. I'm not going.
Outrageous.
I'm gonna miss what's one out. I know it is, isn't it? I mean,
Plastic.
priorities. I know. I am. I'm a glory hunter. I'd go to the games that we're definitely going to win.
Okay.
Saturday, Mark. You said earlier on that there seems to be some kind of psychological block when it comes to seeing the Chelsea.
Yeah.
Do you think Conte's not? I mean, he lost on Friday to Liverpool, didn't he? I mean, they've not been convincing, have they? Good
No,
time to play them.
Yeah, I'd say so, because Conte hasn't had the chance to work with them too much. So definitely, I think it's a good time to get at them. They've still got players who cause us problems, and the main one being Costa, to be fair. So it'd be interesting to see how Kos and Mustafi deal with them. Because you'd have to assume that's our first choice centre backs at the moment. But yeah, I just think we do have a mental issue with them, and it's something that the players need to get over. A lot of the guys in the team at the moment are ones that have lost a lot more games to Chelsea than they've ever got anything out of. So we need to start putting that right and putting in a good performance against them. And it's not just about Mourinho. I mean, we never beat Mourinho other than the Charity Shield that time, but we never beat a Chelsea team in the league with Mourinho in charge. But it's other managers at Chelsea, because I mean, let's face it, they've had enough that we've struggled against them as well. So I think we really need to beat them, because they're not, they're a good side, but I think it'll take Conte a long time to get used to the Premier League and sort them out. So we need to make sure that we keep trying to put daylight between us and them, and keeping up there at the top with the teams that are in front of us.
Was second big test of the season. We didn't come through our first audition. Expecting to see a different result on Saturday.
We have to see a different result. We definitely have to see a different result. Just quickly on midweek. Last season we were playing players like Glenn Kamara in the Carling Cup
and Benacer and all that. Yeah.
Exactly. And this season, look what we're talking about. So you can see straight away the marked improvement on the squad. I do want Wenger to take midweek seriously. I do want us to win the game. I don't want to be going up to Nottingham midweek to see us put out a pansy team and lose to another Championship side. I do want to go far in that tournament this year, and I hope he does take it seriously. And on Saturday, look, after losing to Liverpool, you can't be not winning this game. And we've got our history with Chelsea. But I just think go at them. Do you know what? I think as long as Mustafi and Koscielny stay disciplined and keep their heads, they will get Costa sent off this time. It will be Costa walking.
Wouldn't that be lovely?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, they could implode Chelsea because things ain't going their way. The Swansea result, and do you know what I mean? And they're not. You can get at them. I mean, that's the kind of thing that would happen to Arsenal years ago, going 1-0 up against Swansea and then capitulating like that. It's in their locker at the moment, and they're not quite settled with a new manager. And Theo has good days against Chelsea all the time. He's a weapon against them. It would be nice to see Giroud in there, big physical presence up front, giving the centre-back some bit of arms, you know what I mean, bit of body in there. And Mesut needs to step up and have a game. It would be interesting to see if we win the midfield battle, because they're going to have N'Golo Kante in there. And will he have any bottle to play Cesc? Because they've been, do you know what I mean? They've been very, very, very reluctant to play any sort of playmaker in the middle of the park. And I think they're there for the taking. I really do. And I just want Wenger to be brave and at home just go and hit this team. Just go and say to them, look, I know we've had our history against you. You always do a number on us. We're Arsenal though. We're back this season. We're ready, and we got physical players. Xhaka's a big boy. We got right through the spine of the team. We ain't no mugs anymore. Like, let's go out there and just prove it, and don't ruin it ourselves. Don't do what we done last year, and we killed ourselves. Chelsea were pony last year, and we killed ourselves. We left Per isolated. Costa through, game over. All from one mistake. And we can't let that happen. And this season, I think if we get on top, we just do them. Do you know what I mean? Just do them for once. I hate them. It's getting me wild already. I've got to think about Tuesday first, but I'm looking forward to it at the weekend. I really am.
We're going to see Nicholas Bentner. Nick.
Yeah, indeed.
Can you just see him scoring against us in the 88th minute?
As long as we end up winning 5-1, I don't mind. I don't mind him scoring. It'll be a nice.
Yeah, let's be 5-0 up and let him score against us.
Yeah. Going back to Saturday's game, for me, we've got to get a result there. I think there's three of us, Chelsea and Liverpool on 10 points. We're all 5 points behind Man City already, who to me are the only standout team at this stage of the season. I think they look. I mean, Sterling, just as one example, looks absolutely phenomenal. completely different animal to the guy that he was last season. But it's important that we stay in touch with Man City. I think we've got to be there or thereabouts when they slip up, because I'm sure they will slip up at some point of the season. So, as long as we don't give Theo the captaincy, get off on the right foot, I think we should get some kind of result out of it. Finally, guys, I want your predictions for Tuesday and Saturday. Amanda, Nottingham Forest.
I'm not predicting.
All right, Chelsea.
No.
Mark.
I'll go 2-1 Tuesday. First goal scorer Perez.
Right, and Saturday.
Saturday, I am going to go with 2-1 again. First goal scorer Ozil.
All right. Was
3-1, 3-1.
3-1. Was that to Forest?
Yeah, Bender hat-trick and Diogo Costa hat-trick. Nah, I honestly do think. I think that hopefully we'll take it seriously, and we should be able to dispatch Forest. And I think if we get the first goal, they're going to have to come at us, and we'll be able to deal with them and see that off. I'm hoping, and I just think we can go at Chelsea, and I think this might be the time to introduce Xhaka, and I think Giroud might be back hopefully, and if them two big boys play and we've got a bit more oomph about us and a bit more strength, I think I fancy us. I really do, and I think we will concede, because we seem to be very good at managing to concede at the moment, despite being in no danger of conceding goals, which does need to stop sooner or later. But as long as we keep getting goals at the other end, and I think we will look a lot more dangerous when we got a centre forward back in the team. And I'm hoping the next two games, probably with Lucas midweek and Giroud back at the weekend, I think we'll have a bit more firepower up there. So I've got to be confident, right? I looked at the 10 games a few weeks ago and I thought, look, we can win 9 of these 10 games, and our fixtures are very kind coming up and they're very winnable games. So, especially between Chelsea at home and Tottenham at home, we've got some really winnable fixtures. So I want to get a roll going and like you say, stick with City.
I'm gutted we're not playing United yet.
Yeah, indeed.
Mourinho's
they got rolled over, didn't they? They got rolled over at Watford, didn't they?
God, they were so poor. And it's brilliant because it's Mourinho.
Indeed. All right, so that wraps it up. Join us again in the midweek as we review the Forest game, and look forward to Saturday's evening encounter with the boys in blue. That's been a Gooner Ramble podcast. I'd like to thank my esteemed panellists, Amanda.
Thank you for having me.
And Woz and Mark. You're right,
Cheers.
guys. Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
Cheers, mate.
Vive la Arsenal. All right, take care.